Welcome to the dungeon. This is volume 3 of our black and white series, and today I'm going to do a more kind of involved dot pattern piece. It's going to be something similar to this. I love this. Let's go ahead and I will turn on the torch and get started. All I have to do is make sure I have plenty of little black and white stringers. That is going to be important in any kind of precise dot placement piece, especially when you start to get smaller and smaller in the dots. You will want to have those stringers made if you're a flame worker and you're interested in this technique. If not, sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I'll see you afterwards. Here I am in the studio. Time for some Stephen King.
Breathless keening sounds.
Okay, now so first things first, we're going to pull a couple of stringers, and what I do is just get the largest gather of glass I can. And with white, I wait a long time. You'll see this when I pull it. I'll pull it in real time, but I'm really waiting for that white to almost become a milky white color before I start pulling, and then it's all about the feel of the pull. And I'll stretch it as far as I can, and then just make sure that it's hard before you melt off that end. And we will do that one more time with the black. The black, you can actually grab a little quicker because the black seems to be slightly stiffer. And you notice I'm pulling a little faster with the black because it will cool down faster than the white. So give that a couple of tries and make a whole bunch, and we'll be ready. Before I made this video, I wasn't sure if I wanted to make a black bead with white dots or a white bead with black dots, so I just met myself in the middle and made both. And we're going to start out with the black bead. And I start out by just putting on my initial little beads here. I guess they would be spacer beads. And what I'm going to do is just start wrapping them up the mandrel until I get the length of the bead that I'm looking for. And then I'll add a little extra to the ends and to the middle because I'm going to make a bicone. I add two extra rounds in the middle to kind of mimic the bicone shape. And I'm going to give it a full heat and start to heat it slightly on an angle. And then I will start to heat just one side and roll that, flip my mandrel around, heat the other side, roll that one out until everything looks nice and even. And sometimes I will use the little marbling table on top. That's when I'm pulling that bead away. But what I'm looking for is something a little larger than this. So I will, at this point, add a little bit more black glass to it before I actually start the pattern. And where I want that bulk is going to be in the middle. So I'm adding glass in the middle, and then I'm going to give that a nice full heat. And I'm trying to keep the heat in the middle at this point because I really don't want to pull those edges in all that much. By the time this bead is over, the edges will have pulled in quite a bit. So at this point, we're going to start with our pattern. This is going to be exciting. I'm excited. This bead is cool. So I'm going to add 3 large dots to the center, and then I will add 3 slightly smaller dots right below them. It's nice to work in the middle of the mandrel because I'm shaky and I can hold both sides and turn it around too. Now I'm just looking to make sure that everything is even, and I'm going to start to heat up and very slowly push the glass in. I don't want to melt it in just yet. I just need to help the white flatten out because it's quite a bit. And if I was to heat all that down into the bead, I would have to get it super duper hot. So I want to push those little dots down, and it also gives me some time to push them in the right direction, make them a little larger, and it makes the whole thing a lot easier to maintain the shape when you heat it up. As you can see here, this looks good. And my gentle heating is done at the end of the flame. All right, so now let's let that cool down. We've switched over now to black on white, and we're going to use a fine stringer this time to add 6 small dots around every single circle. And I will do this in a pattern so I know I'm placing every dot in the right spot on the bead. And I'm just working on one side, and then I'll flip this over and work on the other side. I'm going to add 4 small dots to each of those smaller black dots, as you will see. And when I'm laying down these stringers, when I am laying down these dots, it almost feels as if my hand becomes a sewing machine, and the needle goes up and down, picking up the same amount of glass every time and laying it down. So I don't know, it's kind of like a stitch. At least that's how I see it. I feel like a sewing machine. Now we're just finishing up this bottom part, and I continue to give a little bit of heat to the whole bead when I think it's cooling down too much, and then I'll continue to add those little tiny dots. And it looks like we're finished with the first layer. And now we'll give it a nice even heat. And I'm only heating this up enough to melt those small beads in, and that is it. Did I just say beads? I think I did dots, sorry. Okay, now what we'll do is on those little points that all the dots that I've laid down made, I'm going to add a little tiny dot on the tip of each one. And I believe that I have a little bit of this done in real time, so you'll be able to see that coming up. Because it takes a lot longer. It's amazing how when I look at this, it looks like, oh, this is taking no time at all. But it takes a lot longer than you think it does. Right here, I'm just adding some extra little dots just for some extra flair there, not necessarily on one of the sticks. The great thing about these types of beads are that you can make any pattern and you can start anywhere you want, and it doesn't have to be a precise pattern. Okay, there it is with my shaky hands. You can stop at any time too. Leave those dots a little raised up, but for me, I'm gonna melt it all in. See what I come up with. Okay. And I just love the way this is looking. These look great. There we go. So much fun. All right. It's about 5 hours later in the evening time, and I'm really excited to check these beads out that we made. So let's see what's here in the annealer. All right. Here they are. Do. All right, we'll take them upstairs, clean these guys out, and show them off. Okay, I know this is kind of a funky shot, but we're gonna do it anyways. So let's go ahead and clean these beads out. So what I'm gonna do is use a Dremel tool with a long tapered diamond bit, and that will allow me to clean both beads out of all the bead release and finish them off.